What is up, awesome people of the internet? Guys, happy Friday, everybody. We made it to the end of the week. Yes, we did. And we got still a lot of women's basketball to talk about. We're going to talk about the best laid plans that were supposed to work, and then when they go into practice, they don't seem to work. We're also going to give an update on women's college basketball because I haven't talked about that in a while, and it is in the news. Got to talk about it, and we got more stuff to come ahead. So welcome to Quita in the Mornings, and it starts now.
Are you ready?
Are you ready?
Are you ready? Ready, set, go.
All right, get ready. Okay, so here's the deal. That happens all the time. Let's say you are working on something and you put all your effort into this plan. You make a plan and you really believe it. You map it out. You get the team. You sell the vision. You think, you know what? This is it. This is the thing that is going to take me to the top. And then it doesn't do that. Instead, things fall apart. In business, in life, in basketball. At some point, we've all been there where you try to build something and it just doesn't click. Maybe the timing's off. Maybe you zigged when you should have zagged. The people aren't really buying in. And suddenly, everybody is looking at you and they're thinking, what were you thinking? Now, when you get that feeling of people saying, talking and saying, hey, what you doing? This makes no sense. I told you it wouldn't work. You thought you had something, but actually it turns out, no, you don't. And now you're feeling embarrassed, probably. You're feeling frustrated. You're feeling a bit of panic. And it starts to magnify under the lights of a national stage. Because that's, in a lot of ways, what I see happening to some WNBA teams. There are front offices and coaches that had a vision. We saw GMs that promised success. Coaches that were like, yeah, we're taking this team to the moon. Bold trades were made. Risky cuts were made. The right people were hired. And now the foundation of sorts is kind of cracking a little bit, you know. The Chicago Sky, in a lot of ways, they kind of acted like they were smarter than everybody else. And then now we see what's happening. We see the Las Vegas Aces thinking that they could coast on the talent that they already had. And we see what's happening with that. And the Indiana Fever, they thought they could hit reset, call in the grown-ups, and make some stuff happen. And they still might be over their heads. These are three different teams with three different kinds of pressures, but they all share one thing in common. It's a plan that is no longer working. So they have to wave the flag and say, you know what? We're about to change some stuff up. We got to do some stuff different. But the question is, when your blueprint fails in public, what do you do? Do you adjust or do you spiral? So let's talk about that, okay? Let's talk about it. Also, as we are going through this, if you all have comments, please make sure to leave them in the chat. And if you all are wondering, why aren't you talking about the biggest team that got stuff wrong in the Dallas Wings? Well, the Dallas Wings, there's too much to talk about with the Dallas Wings. So I'm going to have to dedicate an entire stream to the Dallas Wings, okay? So this is going to be a look at three different teams, but the Dallas Wings I am not covering because it's going to take a lot of time to talk about that team, okay? It's going to take a lot, okay? Okay. So let's go on to the first topic of the day, and it involves the Chicago Sky. All right, so let's talk Sky, where GM, General Manager Jeff Pagliacca, the man who shook up the Chicago Sky's roster and coaching staff, thinking that he had the cheat code. Hey, he's talking. He's talking a little bit right now, and we want to talk about what he is saying, okay? Because Jeff Pagliacca made a lot of moves in the offseason. He was hired last year, or before last season, after Teresa Weatherspoon was hired as the head coach. After the season was over last year, he was a decision maker in firing Teresa Weatherspoon, who did not make the playoffs. And while they didn't totally give us a reason, it's either that they didn't make the playoffs or all the conversation that was around the Chicago Sky last year. Right? This is the guy who let Kennedy Carter walk. One of the league's top shot creators out the door. And she was open to coming back, and he was like, "Actually, no, I think we got it. I think we got it." This is the man who traded, among other things that was traded, the number 3 overall pick for Ariel Atkins. He was betting on the now instead of betting on the next. And he handed the keys to another rookie coach, Tyler Marsh. And in some ways, the Chicago Sky was selling a vision to fans, a sort of rugged, battle-tested team with a lot of veterans that would fight every night on the court and do their best to contend for an actual playoff spot. Last year, the Sky didn't make the playoffs. And it was like, okay, well, we need to make the playoffs. We need to make some stuff happen. And so we need to go in a different direction. They bring in a whole bunch of different players, a lot of new faces on this team, including basically a whole new coaching staff. And now we look at the situation. And what do we see? Well, we see the Chicago Sky, who were expected to make a playoff push, instead look like one of the worst teams in the WNBA. This is a team that just can't win. They are 2-6 on the season, and the 2 wins they have are against, in my opinion, the worst team in the WNBA, in the Dallas Wings. You're 2-6. You are allowing 89.5 points a game, which is the worst in the WNBA. You are allowing the opponent's field goal percentage to be 46.9%, the worst in the WNBA. You are shooting a pretty terrible 39.4% from the field. And you are allowing you are turning over the ball 6.7 times per game. You are struggling big time. Not only that, you just lost Courtney Vandersloot, your starting point guard, who just returned back to this team. Now she's out to her ACL. She's done. And you are not looking good at all. You're looking pretty bad. And Jeff Pagliacca, he's been asked about it, and people are like, hey, what's going on? You seem to have a plan of how you wanted this season to go, but now we look up, we're 8 games into the season, and we're looking like, what are you doing? What's going on, Jeff Pagliacca? And so he publicly spoke to the Chicago Sun-Times in an article that has been circulated just about everywhere. And in that interview, he talked about some things. He said, it's a long season and there's a lot of games left, but this is unexpected and I've been very disappointed. That is what Jeff Pagliacca had to say about the Chicago Sky and their season. He's like, hey, I had this master plan and this is unexpected. I didn't expect the Sky to be this bad. I didn't expect it. All right? I did not expect that at all. That's what he said. Then he continued on and he said, we had pretty big, he said we had pretty significant expectations for the season, and that's why I made the moves I made. So he's like, hey, we had a lot of expectations, this season. We had lots of plans of what we were going to do. And now we look at the situation and we're like, this doesn't look good. Like this does not look good at all. And so we continue on. We continue on to talk about the Chicago Sky and truly how not great how not great they've been. And now he starts to talk about the number one player for the Chicago Sky, which is Angel Reese. And let's talk specifically about what he said about her, because truly it seems like the Angel Reese piece is the thing that actually a lot of people are like pissed off about. Also, just so you all know, turnovers is actually 19. My apologies. My graph. I need to update my graphic. Turnovers is 19 turnovers per game. 19 turnovers per game for the Chicago Sky. All right, so it's even worse than I had. 19 turnovers per game. All right. So even worse. All right, and now we want to talk about what Jeff Pagliacca had to say about Angel, because that seemed to stir up a lot of stuff. Stirred up a lot of stuff on social media about people getting upset. People upset at what Jeff Pagliacca had to say, because he did at least talk about some of his possible role in that, in terms of, hey, I made the moves I made, and now the moves I made is not panning out quite yet, right? This team has poor defense, severely poor defense. They have a lack of confidence when it comes to shooting the basketball. They are inconsistent when it comes to their effort, which is just a thing that this guy have been dealing with. And a significant portion of the article from the Sun-Times, talking about the interview with Jeff Pagliacca, a significant part of it focuses on Angel Reese, because even though she was the number 7 pick in the 2024 draft, she is the franchise player for the Chicago Sky. The Sky have moved Angel into more of a stretch 4 type of role. And it comes with some growing pains for sure. And while, she has seen some good games this year, she's also had some bad games. And it's clear that she is still trying to figure out how to be more of a facilitator while also limiting turnovers. And when Jeff was talking specifically about Angel, he said that's something that has yet to come together in terms of her ability to take care of the basketball and limiting turnovers. He said, but it's a necessity for us to win. She had some great games, and she's had some games like everybody else that haven't been her best. But she's our best chance at versatility on this roster. We need more production from out of her, but we need her to help us in other ways too. Let me repeat that. Jeff Pagliacca said that Angel is the Chicago Sky's best chance at versatility on this roster. We need more production out of her, but we need her to help us in other ways too. So, yeah. To that, I say, okay. Yeah. Angel is very versatile for your team. And does the Sky need more production out of her? Yeah, sure. Absolutely. And does the Sky need to do more to help her? Absolutely. But there is something that we need to talk about when it comes to Angel, because I get it. Angel is the most popular player on this team. I get it. And I get it that, most of the time people want to talk about her. But the stressing of what Angel needs to do, like, oh, okay, Angel needs to do this and that and whatnot. Here's the deal, guys. What about the rest of the team? the thing that got on me about this article and about what Jeff Pagliacca had to say was not specifically about Angel, because yes, sure, she is very versatile, and yes, does the Sky need more production out of her? Yes. Does the Sky need to help her out more? Yes. But what about everybody else? Like, I'm very confused. What about the player who was actually picked higher than Angel in 2024? Has anyone talked to Don Staley about what the Sky need to do to get Camilla playing her best down low consistently? Has that happened? Are we going to talk about that? Are we going to talk about Ariel Atkins, who the Chicago Sky traded so much for? Ariel Atkins, she is playing offensively like a shell of herself. What about her? Does she need to do more? Does the Sky need more production out of her? What about the defensive issues that you have on this team? Right? You say defense is an issue, perimeter defense is an issue, and you got Kia Nurse starting most of the games so far this season. There is a huge confusion I have in terms of, like, what are we doing, guys? Angel Reese on the basketball court, objectively, like truly, if you've watched all the games so far, it's very clear that she is giving seemingly the most effort out of everybody on the team. And absolutely, can she be more productive? Yes. I have no issue with him saying that particular piece. Yes, sure, she could be more productive, but she is giving, in my opinion, the most effort on the court. And what about everybody else? What is there going to be a talk about what everybody else needs to do? Right? What Kia Nurse needs to do, specifically defensively, what Ariel Atkins needs to do to show more of what she of the type of player that she was at Washington with Chicago, of what Camilla has to do, of what Rachel Banham has to do, of what Beck Allen has to do. Like, there's a slight part of me that I'm just like, I don't understand it. I don't. Like, yes, absolutely, Angel is the franchise player. And yes, she's going to get a lot of attention, of course. However, think about what you just did. Angel is a number 7 pick, okay? Camilla was picked higher than her. And you just traded away the number 3 pick and, some other stuff for Ariel Atkins. In terms of talent, in my opinion, Ariel Atkins is the best player on this team. However, she's not playing like it. She's not playing like it. And and here's the thing. I'm not sure if Jeff in this interview talked about other players, and just the article just focused on Angel or what, because I'm just like, I don't understand. What about everybody else? Because I'm going to tell you this. Even if Angel's production stays relatively where it is right now, and you get other players like a Kia Nurse to step up, other players like an Ariel Atkins to step up, other players like a Camilla and others to step up, the Sky will win more games. The Sky will win more games. And so I guess there's just a slight disconnect, in my opinion, a slight disconnect in terms of like the stressing of one player's production on the court when it is very clear that like this is not we just need Angel to do more. This is a roster construction problem. The roster that the Sky have is bad. It's just bad. And in the offseason, coming into the season, there was all this talk about, actually, no, this is actually going to work. We have a plan. We have a master plan, and Jeff P is like a genius who can mix and match and make some stuff happen. And now look at what we see. The roster is an issue. That's the problem that you have. You brought in certain veterans, but it's not working. You have a new head coach, which to be totally honest with you guys, I'm not putting all of this on Tyler. I'm not. The reason why is because, yes, him and Jeff has supposedly talked about the players that they're getting and all that stuff. But like at the end of the day, he's a brand new coach, put in a situation where he has a not so great roster, and he's trying to make some stuff happen. So yes, does Tyler Marsh need to be better in his X's and O's coaching? Absolutely. But is a significant amount of the Sky's problems the players that they actually picked, the trades that they have made, the signings that they have and have not made? Yes. In a good amount of ways, Tyler was not set up for success. He's trying to make the most of it. And is he perfect? No, he's not. But I do think that roster construction is a huge issue for the Chicago Sky. But season's not over. There's still some sort of chance, right? But here's the thing: you're in this article. It seems like Jeff is asking Angel to basically do everything. But the question is, what about everybody else? Tyler Marsh might end up growing into being a really good coach. And you have to ask yourself, yeah, sure, Angel is putting in the work. Yeah, sure. Does she still need to be more efficient? Absolutely. Does she still have stuff she needs to work on? Yes. But until you get more from the other 4 starters, the Chicago Sky will not totally have a shot. This was supposed to be a playoff team. You got rid of Teresa Weatherspoon. And I keep holding in on that because, again, you get rid of her and you act like you know everything. And you're like, actually, I'm good. We're good. We got a plan. I know what's going on. I know how to fix this. And now we see the results. And it's like, okay, not fixed. Right? Not fixed. You were, yeah, that's what I got to say. It feels like you were supposed to build a team that was meant to be a playoff team, but instead you have a team that is destined for nothing but frustration and probably a whole lot of finger pointing. So where do the Sky go from here? Not totally sure, but I know this: there is a little bit of admitting from Jeff Pagliaca's perspective of like what went wrong. However, the solution being just more production out of Angel is not a good one because you have other players on your team. It is not just one player on a team. So yeah, that's my thoughts there. What do y'all think? Let me know in the comments below. what y'all think about this, the Sky in particular. All right. Thank you so much, Stern, for the super chat. Says, everyone underestimated this rookie class. Facts. Yeah. This guy gave away that number 3 pick because, honestly, they didn't think Sonia Citron would be this good. I don't think they did. And now we look and see, and we're like, actually, interesting. Interesting. GDM, thank you so much for the super chat. Says, did you agree with Angel being a 3-time BET Award winner? 1 time, yes. 3 is a little questionable to me. To be honest with you, I don't care. I saw it raise a lot of conversation online. I don't watch the BET Awards. I have not watched the BET Awards in years. I didn't even know she won 3 times until I saw it circulating online and people were upset. The BET Awards it's a popularity contest, right? It's Angel is the most popular black athlete. Black female athlete, So I don't know. If you're just thinking about popularity, then yeah, I guess it makes sense. If you're thinking about accolades and whatnot, then no, it probably doesn't make sense. But at the end of the day, I don't really care. I don't really care. All right. Okay. Regan says, thank you. Quit. I was thinking the same thing. All right. El Kune says, who cares about a BET award? They only care because it's Angel. If anyone else won it, nobody would mention it. Possibly. Yeah, possibly. Taylor says, I think the Sky's main problem is their front office. Yeah. Yes. Paradico says they could have had Citron or Kiki. Yeah. That is true. Shamika said, I love that Ariel defended Angel. Yeah, there was a clip that went around, that circulated around of Ariel Atkins backing Angel and basically saying hey, she got a lot that she's dealing with. Come on, calm down, people. There's a lot of criticism that she has to deal with and whatnot, and yeah. Of course, that's not the exact quote, but I did like how she was defending her. Angel's not a rookie, but defending her younger player. I think that's always, in my opinion, a W when you see veterans, really going to bat and supporting their younger players. I think it goes a long way in terms of just locker room cohesion, because it's hey, this person truly does have my back, right? And so I think that's pretty cool. All right. Let's continue on. And I actually want to talk about something that's similar but also different at the same time, and that is in relation to the Las Vegas Aces. Here's the thing about the Las Vegas Aces. This is a team that, won back-to-back championships. They were at one point a super team. This was a squad that was supposed to roll through the league for more years to come. And yet, they are looking at 50% from on the season so far. 4 for 4. 4 and 4. 4 wins, 4 losses. They are a team that in a lot of ways looks disjointed, lost, and a team that isn't really giving it as much as they can. This is a team that is really good still, but is a team that is not living up to the expectations that people had for them. All right. When we look at the Las Vegas Aces, this is a team that had 2 20-point losses so far this season. Right. This is a team, when it comes to assists, is dead last in the WNBA. They're only averaging around 16.3 assists per game. Right? This is a team that traded away Kelsey Plum, brought in Jackie Young, and there were Jackie Young, brought in Jewel Lloyd. Jackie Young is already still there. Brought in Jewel Lloyd, and they made some changes from a guard perspective. You lost Tiffany Hayes, who ended up signing as a free agent to the Golden State Valkyries. Like you lost Alicia Clark, who ended up signing with the Seattle Storm, and you've had some changes. That's my point. You've had some changes for the Las Vegas Aces, but the one thing that has not changed is the Aces' inability to have someone other than A'ja Wilson be a significant post threat. Right? Now, yes, A'ja did get that hit to the head, and I believe there is a bit of concern of whether or not she's going to even play today. I wouldn't be shocked, actually, if she does not play today. But yeah, she is doubtful with a head injury. So that head injury aside, which just happened in the last game, put that aside. The Aces are not a great team. This is a team that got smoked by the Golden State Valkyries, a first-year expansion team, coached by their former assistant coach. And after that game, Becky Hammon had a lot to say, a whole lot to say about her team and about her team's effort. And she's like, "Hey, I'm not coaching effort. I'm not doing it. I'm not coaching effort because you all are supposed to bring the effort." She can't change the effort that they put on the court. The lack of defense at times, the lack of real plays being ran, the just disjointed play. Like she's like, "Hey, I'm in charge of playing time. I am not in charge of you putting your best foot forward." Because you got to admit, guys, this Las Vegas Aces team still has a lot of talent. Like this is not a weak team at all. This is still a talented roster because you literally have some of the best players, multiple Olympians on this team. Of course, you got A'ja Wilson, who is leading literally every single major stat: points per game, rebounds per game, assists per game, steals, blocks. Asia's leading it all. But you also have Jackie Young, Olympian, Chelsea Gray, Olympian, Jewel Lloyd, Olympian. Like you got some really good talent. But the thing that you don't have, that is still killing this team, is you have 2 post players, not named A'ja Wilson. So the 2 post players specifically are Kia Stokes and Elizabeth Kitley. These 2 players are averaging you basically 4 points a game combined. And so, in my opinion, yes. Does Jewel need to step up and do we need to see more out of Jewel? Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. But I think there is something bigger happening. A'ja Wilson is still the most, in my opinion, the best player on the planet, even though so far this year I do have Nafisa Collier as my MVP, but like A'ja Wilson, best player on the planet, doing everything. But she's getting no help on the inside. It started several years ago when De'Erica Hamby was traded from the Las Vegas Aces to the LA Sparks. That combination of Asia and De'Erica was huge because not only could Asia be doing her thing, but De'Erica could score and make an impact as well. And since De'Erica Hamby has been off of this team, they have not been able to replace what she did in the paint. Sure, you had other players like a Kayla George, and you had Megan Gustafson, and you got Kia Stokes, and now Elizabeth Kitley, who's healthy and whatnot. However, you still don't have a replacement for De'Erica Hamby that can actually give you offense down low. And the Aces, to try to get taller, to try to get a little bit bigger, they decided to waive Crystal Bradford, who, I thought gave effort, but was not that much of a scorer. And also, I believe she was 6 foot. And they brought in Joyner Holmes. They just signed Joyner Holmes recently, and she is taller, and they're like, hey, we gonna see what happens from here. But here's the thing. Is Joyner Holmes the solution? No, I don't think so. This team does not just need height. This team needs help down low. They need help because the rest of the league has understood what A'ja Wilson can do, and they have adjusted. And the Aces are not adjusting. This is a team that is, in a lot of ways, inefficient. This is a team that feels disconnected. This is a team that feels lazy. I think that's kind of the word that I want to say at times. And now you got A'ja Wilson with a head injury, possibly going to be out in today's game. And now you're looking like, okay, you already had a lot of issues in terms of the Las Vegas Aces team and in terms of the production that you have on the court. And now A'ja might be out. Now, of course, you're playing the Dallas Wings today, so you should win that game. That shouldn't be a problem. But you get my point, though. You understand my point. This is not a good thing. And in some ways, the issue for all of this for the Las Vegas Aces is the front office void. Talked about this the other day, but I'm going to talk about it again, guys. The Aces don't have a general manager. Becky Hammond is trying to coach and also trying to fill some front office gaps. And it's clearly not working. They've supposedly just settled on their current structure of Becky and Nikki kind of been taking the GM role together and helping out and making some stuff happen. But yeah, you're settled on this current structure in terms of not having a GM while your could have been dynasty is hurting. It's collapsing. The issue with Vegas is a failure in planning. And now it is time to catch up. It is time to catch up. And the question is, will they be able to by the end of the season? I have my doubts. Now, of course, is this Las Vegas Aces team going to make the playoffs? Yes. Yes, it is. It is going to make they're going to make the playoffs. I think that's for sure. The question is not, will Vegas make the playoffs? The question is, guys, can the Aces make it far in the playoffs with their current roster as is? And if you look at the roster, again, Jackie, Chelsea, Jewel as your guards, you'd probably say, yeah, they should. But if you have Jewel Lloyd not only being a liability on defense, but also not really giving you any production, really, on offense. You have Jackie Young and Chelsea Gray playing very sporadic in terms of They have a good game here, then series of bad games and whatnot. And you literally have Asia Wilson leading this team in assists, and you got one of the best point guards in the game right alongside her. There's a lot to be desired for this team. The problem with the Aces is that they have a lot of cracks that have been there, and now it's starting to really show. And not having Kelsey Plum is actually showing a lot, to be quite honest with you. It's showing a lot. Not having a Tiffany Hayes is showing a lot. Not having an Alicia Clark is showing a lot. And while you do bring in some new players, you got Aaliyah Nye, you got Dana Evans and whatnot. You got some players that you just brought in, but they're not consistently giving you stuff. Like Dana Evans, I really do like her on the Aces. I do think that's a really good fit for her. And same thing with Aaliyah Nye, but like at the same time, you need more from your starters, and in order to put your bench players when they come in a game in a better position so that they're not like trying to claw back from behind or something like that. So I think that's a thing. That's a thing right there. But that's kind of my overall thoughts about the Aces, because here's the thing: you can't run it back for forever. And the Aces, in some ways, are learning that in a hard way, right? You can't run it back for forever. So that's my thoughts with the Aces. What do y'all have to say? I'm curious to hear you all's thoughts. All right, let's check the comments. Let's check the comments and let's see what y'all got to say. Conscious says, which is why they should trade Jewel for Angel. Why would this guy agree to that? Why in the world would this guy ever agree to that? I think that would be insane in the membrane if something like that happened. Dana does not suck. She does not. She does not. Nope. As someone who has watched basically every game of hers since she's been in the WNBA, she does not. No. Now, certain systems make her is better for her. And I actually do think that her with the Aces is a good fit. Our dog says comments are crazy. Yeah. Sometimes y'all be funny. Sometimes y'all be funny in these comments. Okay. Eric says, Jewel Lloyd's shooting percentage have dropped every season. Not sure that trade really makes sense for the Aces. Well, let's kind of talk about Jewel Lloyd real quick. Let's talk about Jewel Lloyd and let's talk about her play recently. So far this season, Jewel is averaging 9.1 points a game, so not quite 10. But when we look at Jewel over the last several seasons, we see that, Jewel is can be in some ways a volume shooter, right? This is someone who came into the league with star players on her team, right? She came into the league in 2015. Who was already there? You got Sue Bird, and then eventually Stewie comes, and you got Stewie and Sue Bird, and then you got Jewel Lloyd as part of that three-headed monster for the Seattle Storm. And initially for Seattle, Jewel is very efficient. She's pretty efficient because she doesn't have to score a lot. She doesn't have to attempt a lot of field goals, right? Like, remember, it was a different time back when Jewel Lloyd first came into the scene, right? In 2015, she was only averaging around 9 field goals a game. And so when you're shooting that low of field goals, you're going to be very particular about the shots that you take. And so in her first year in the WNBA, she shot around 41% from the field, right? And then as time went on, her usage in games increased, right? You started to see her getting more attempts, more field goal attempts as time went on, right? In 2020, that was her best season, right? I believe that was the bubble season, right? I believe that was when Seattle won another championship. And during that time, Jewell Loyd was looking really good. She shot 44% that season on 11 attempts a night. Then we fast forward to 2023, and now we got Jewell Loyd by herself. Sue Bird retired. We had Breanna Stewart, who went over to go to the New York Liberty, and now we got Seattle that was pretty much just Jewell, and Jewell would just go out there and hoop, and she would take 20 shots a night. And that season, she shot 37% because a lot of shots, right? And then we fast forward to this year with the Las Vegas Aces, where Jewell is struggling. She's not shooting a ton of field goals per game, but it just feels like she is not in rhythm. Like she's not fully gelled with this team yet. She's averaging around 9 to 10 field goal attempts a game, and she's shooting 29%. Now, this is the worst field goal percentage that she's ever shot. And yeah, that's a problem, considering last year wasn't great, but like last year she at least shot 36% from the field. Again, not great, but like way better than 29. And so I think there's just some like comfortability things that just has to get better with her and the Aces. I still believe that Jewell Loyd has a lot of gas in the tank. I still think she's a really good player. However, I think she hasn't fully gotten in tune with the offense and gotten in tune with what the Aces are trying to do and what specifically her role is in that. So, yeah. That's my thoughts on that, right? That is my thoughts on that. DW says the whole league has issues with their leadership. Why did 7 teams change coaches this year? More than half of the teams, something is up. I mean, the WNBA is in flux. This is a league in flux. This is a league that a lot of people just started talking about in the last couple of years. And there's a microscope on teams and on front offices and on coaches more than ever before. And it felt like last season, the front offices felt that pressure, felt that microscope, and they were like, you know what? We need to make a change. And so they're all like, oh, our teams need to get a whole lot better, a whole lot faster. And so let's just change. Let's make changes. So everybody made changes, right? Basically everybody made changes. And now we see where we're at. Dallas got worse. Chicago got worse. Connecticut, well, it wasn't their fault. It wasn't their fault that Stephanie White left. But like they got worse. They got worse, and they basically lost their whole team. You got teams that made a lot of changes that are not looking great now. The Washington Mystics, in my opinion, yeah, sure, they're still losing games, but like to me, they look better. they look better, right? The LA Sparks, once they get healthy, they're better. They're also a better team, and so like there's been some improvements, but at the same time, there's just been a lot of changes, and so yeah, it's been a lot of changes. And in some ways, WBZL, it is change for change's sake. Yeah. That is true. That is very, very true. Quintus says Fever got worse. I don't think they did. And actually, speaking of the Indiana Fever, let's actually talk about the Fever. Okay? So, the Indiana Fever is a team that was built to win. In several months, they were built to win, but they are not there just yet. The Indiana Fever didn't just talk about improving this season. They made a lot of changes and talked about possibly winning a championship, right? Caitlin said it. She was like, hey, before the season started, she was like, hey, my expectation, we want to try to win a championship. Not contend, not just sneak into the playoffs, but win a championship. And to be fair, the front office for the Indiana Fever has backed that, right? They brought back Kelsey Mitchell. They added in veterans like a Dewana Bonner, Natasha Howard, Sophie Cunningham, Sydney Colson, vets with a lot of playoff experience. Vets with championship rings. They hired in Stephanie White, a former head coach for the Indiana Fever, who did a great job with Connecticut in the last couple of seasons. Now they hired her to come back to Indiana and to try to make some stuff happen. They brought in a new GM, made some different president. Like they've made some changes to try to turn this entire franchise into a whole vibe, right? They saw the opportunity that they have with, Caitlin Clark, the most popular player in the WNBA, right? They saw that and they were like, actually, you know what? We need to fully take advantage of this, and so we need to make a lot of changes, right? We're going to fully build around this and make something bigger and better. And at first, it worked. You see the opening night game, and the Indiana Fever go into their home opener and destroy Chicago by 35 points. Caitlin had a triple-double in that game? Like, it was a big deal, Then they ultimately end up playing the New York Liberty, and they barely lose. Just lose by 2 points. Like, that's not bad. Like, they good. Again, you played against the defending champions, the New York Liberty, and you barely lose, right? And then you start to, see some cracks of sorts. You are going to see, you start to see, Caitlin get hurt, miss some games. She strained her quad, right? And you saw the Indiana Fever lose back-to-back games, right? You lose it to Washington and Connecticut, two teams. Well, Connecticut definitely is not making the playoffs, and they're definitely not making the playoffs. And Washington, I do think they're going to make the playoffs, but some others don't think they're going to make the playoffs. Like these are two teams that possibly are lottery bound, and you lose to both. Sophie Cunningham gets hurt. Sydney Colson temporarily goes down, and you are looking to figure out some stuff, right? So we saw some changes being made for the Chicago Sky, or for the Indiana Fever, right? We see Ari McDonald get added onto this team, and Ari has been a huge bright spot for this team, I would say. A huge bright spot because it gives you another person who can handle that point guard role. And you start to be decent, right? You start to be pretty decent in terms of like some sort of offensive sets being run and some decent stuff happening, but you also see some not so great things happen as well, right? We have the Indiana Fever who get blown out by the Atlanta Dream the other day. And in the post game, Stephanie White was talking about physicality and we need this and we need more effort because down low, Brianna Jones was cooking against the Indiana Fever, right? And you all may be like, oh, the reason for Indiana's woes is just because of Caitlin, and actually, I don't think so. Yes, this team is a team that is set to try to win a championship. However, this team, still lost some games when Caitlin was here. Like, yes, you barely lose to New York. You lose by 1 point to Atlanta to start the season. After you blow out Chicago, you barely lose to Atlanta. You get beat pretty badly by Atlanta again just a couple of days ago. And now you have a lot of people that are like, it's the coach's fault. It's the coach's fault. She's a bad coach and blah, 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 blah. And now the Indiana Fever are starting to feel the pressure, right? This is a team that is starting to feel the pressure. Because their offseason vision and the things that they talked about and whatnot is getting a little bit fiery right now, because you have fans who are like pissed. They're like, hey, Stephanie White, you are supposed to be this defensive coach. Why are we having all these defensive lapses? You are a coach that coached one of the most physical teams in the WNBA last year in the Connecticut Sun. Why are we losing when it comes to physicality? Well, because in some ways, this Indiana Fever team absolutely got better. But there is a difference, guys, in terms of allowing time to make your team better. Here's the deal. When the Indiana Fever was constructed, really good team, and you brought in huge time vets who are a big deal and blah, 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 blah. You are a team that had crazy high expectations that's hard to actually see come to fruition, right? Lot of changes, a lot of expectations, and it's a lot of pressure, right? I don't think that this is a issue of the roster, to be quite honest with you. I don't. I also don't think that this is a issue with the players, with the offensive schemes and whatnot for this team. I think what this is with Indiana is a identity issue of sorts. Who is this team? Not just when Caitlin is on the court, but who is this team with her off the court, with her in street clothes, right? I think that's the big thing that this team still has to figure out, is when Caitlin's out, when the offense slows, when the rhythm disappears, how do you bring it back? How do you bring it back? Because with her in the lineup, you had 2 losses against the Fever, or against the Atlanta Dream and the New York Liberty, but you barely lost to those teams. You barely lost. You were looking really good. And so I think some of this is the Fever just realizing that, hey, we got to be a little bit more, we got to have a little bit more grit to us, right? I believe Stephanie White said something basically something like the practice players, hey, they gotta get more physical. They gotta get more physical with the Fever team during practice, right? Them guys gotta do a little bit more to get this team, who is a good team, the extra grit, the extra power to, be like, hey, you get pushed around in a game, push back. push back. Push back. And so, yeah, this is more of a long-term thing. Do I think the Indiana Fever will figure it out by the time the season's over? Yes, I do. And when exactly will Caitlin come back? Well, we'll see. We'll see exactly when she comes back. But I tell you this will be a very different team once Caitlin is back in the roster. That's for sure. But yeah, they got to get better on defense. They got to get better when it comes to physicality, and they have to figure out who they are without Caitlin on the court. Because hey, players get injured, things happen. So if hopefully it doesn't happen, but if she does get hurt again later in the season, well, do you allow that to derail your entire championship prospects? No. You figure out other ways to win. Remember, the Aces, a couple of years ago, when both Chelsea Gray and Kia Stokes went down, they were both basically in boots, in the finals. And who stepped up? The bench stepped up. Other players stepped up, and they still were able to get the dub. The Fever have to decide who they are without Caitlin. Because, of course, she's going to be back, and, of course, she's going to be great. But after that, if she gets hurt again, who are you? And does that derail your whole thing? I think that's a big question. Okay. KB, thank you so much for the super chat. I'm confused. Acts like it's 2K where you can adjust the sliders on your team. He just meant, oh, you're talking about, okay. So KB is talking about Jeff Pagliacca, and is saying he dismantled a team that only missed the playoffs due to injury. Okay. Well, I mean, that's what he decided to do. that's what he decided. I mean, he thought he had the cheat code in terms of like, hey, I'm a put together a roster that is going to be amazing. And is it? No, it's not actually. It's not amazing. It's not at all, but it is what it is. It is what it is. All right, guys. I do want to move on to the final topic of the day. And it involves, we back talking about college, guys. College is here. College news is here, and we got some news to announce for you all. The ACC and the SEC women's basketball challenges has been fully put out there, and I got to talk about it. Okay, I got to talk about it real quick. This should be pretty fun. On the women's side, the ACC has had at least one team in the Elite Eight for 23 consecutive years, which is kind of crazy. And last season it was Duke that went to the Elite Eight. And so that's pretty cool. The SEC had 8 teams earn a spot in the NCAA tournament this past year, which was a conference record for the 7th straight season. And we have seen the ACC go against the SEC during these challenge games. And basically because ESPN has the rights to both the SEC network and the ACC network, they're like, you know what? How can we make the regular season more interesting? How can we just bring more fans out? How can we do something that can bring more attention to people actually watching the games? How about we have the SEC versus ACC challenge? Now, this is a challenge that takes place for both the women and men's side, and I do want to just mention this real quick. We got we have some games that we got to talk about. All right, so I'm just going to briefly mention some these matchups, and maybe at a different date we'll talk specifically about them. But yeah, man, we have a lot of teams participating in this. Georgia going against Florida State. We have Georgia Tech versus Texas A&M. Kentucky versus Miami. NC State versus Oklahoma, Tennessee versus Stanford, Auburn versus Syracuse, Virginia versus Vanderbilt, Cal versus Missouri, Clemson versus Alabama, LSU versus Duke, South Carolina versus Louisville, North Carolina versus Texas, Notre Dame versus Ole Miss, Pitt versus Mississippi State, Arkansas versus SMU, and Florida versus Virginia Tech. Now, that's just a really quick, pretty quick run through. I just wanted to mention that real quick. But yeah, the ACC versus SEC challenge is here. And we'll ultimately see who ends up winning it. But I just wanted to mention that came out, I believe, yesterday. But yeah, that's just something to note. Dominique says LSU versus Duke will be difficult to watch. Either no one scores or LSU blows them out. That's pretty funny. Well, here's the thing. That game is happening at Duke. And so it's at Duke. So like I do think that they're gonna have some momentum. The Cameron Crazies are gonna be there. They're gonna be doing their thing probably. And so yeah, that'll be something to note. Kaji says, when is Juju scheduled to come back? I mean, I'm expecting for her to miss the entire season next year. I mean, we don't know for sure, but I'm expecting her to miss the whole season. We'll see. We will see. All right, guys. That's the stream. Thank y'all so much for rocking with me. If y'all could, make sure to hit that like button. That really does help the channel out a whole lot. Also, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I make content all about women's basketball, so if that is your thing, make sure to subscribe. All right, guys. I will see y'all in the next one. Until next time, guys. Bye-bye. Oh, wait. I gotta exit screen, and I gotta find it. All right. See y'all next one. Until next time. Bye. Bye-bye.
Are you ready?
Ready, set, go.